Welcome to the 7220 Sports Kickoff Show. Here are your hosts, Cody Tucker and Jared Newland.
Welcome to the 7220sports.com Kickoff Show presented by the Brown and Gold. It's also sponsored by Dickey's Barbecue Pit, Wild Lotto, Papa Murphy's Pizza, Rocky Mountain Shirtworks, and Bar and Grill. Jared Newland in studio as always. We also have a special guest today, Wyoming's new public address announcer, Josh Hunter, joining us, a Worland guy. You fool everybody with the green license plates, but you're a Worland guy.
My plates are black.
Is that on purpose?
Yes.
They're not CU colors, though.
They are not CU colors. They are. My license plate is.
There you go. That'll save you some birds, maybe.
A little bit.
First for you, Josh, I got to ask, this is your first year. You've been 2 games in at War Memorial Stadium. You're replacing Jack Noakes, who was here for 41 years, I believe. What has stood out to you? What has maybe surprised you? You haven't been to a game in War Memorial Stadium in a lot of years. So
it was a long time.
Yeah. So what has kind of stuck out to you so far?
The level of play, I think. Wyoming way back in the day is a lot like a lot of other Mountain West teams where you'd see, just quality play for years and years, and then they kind of die off a little bit, and then they come back. And so seeing them do what they've been doing this year, and just being in-house for Texas Tech was an absolute amazing experience.
Not a bad start.
No, it was fantastic. But for the most part, it's just been the entire atmosphere. Day one, my spotter and I go down and we walk the tailgate and just try to take in everything that we can and had a good time doing it and saying hello to some people and not necessarily as like, hey, this is who I am, but just being friendly with people and chatting and stuff. And so that was a lot of fun and just the atmosphere in and of itself and a lot of the professionalism that you get up in the booth is fantastic.
He's talking about me.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm speechless.
But ultimately, I think the game day staff for the most part is they are top-notch people, and that's why they are where they are. And I think it's only going to get better from this point forward. I don't mean that from a public address standpoint. I just mean the overall show that fans see every day or at game days, anyways. Is I just think it can only get better at this point.
Well, I think for majority of the fans, they don't understand what goes on behind the scenes, and I've been there before. Cody's up in the press box, you're there. It's frantic at times. There's sometimes a video board got a glitch, doesn't work. Maybe the sound goes off. Who knows what it is?
Maybe there's a lightning storm that delays you for an hour and a half.
But there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that a lot of people don't get credit for that should get credit.
Yeah, and there's a lot of work that goes into everything that fans see on the field. There's a ton of work, whether it be, the band's going to do something, and so they've got a program that's established. They have to work all week on that to get ready for it. They do everything pregame. The cheer team, whatever they're going to be doing, not to mention if you have some type of pregame thing set up, flyover, something along those lines. There's quite a bit of work that has to go into getting everything set up and ready to go. And timing. It's always about timing.
No. Well, I'm going to snitch on you a little bit here, Josh. I know you and I have talked a lot since we did the story when you first got the job. And, folks, this guy cares. I'm not just saying that because you're here. You've actually reached out a lot to ask about certain things. And you told me you were going to walk through Tailgate Park and stuff just to meet everybody. And you're really trying to get the feel for it because, you are a Worland guy, but you've been gone for a long time. And you told me you went to some games when you were a kid, and now you're just trying to get it back and see what Cowboy football is today. And I think, and not just because you're here once again, I think you've done a fantastic job. We've heard, and nothing against Jack Noakes, but that's been the voice we've heard my entire life of going to every game for 28 straight years. It's nice to hear a different voice. It really is. And that is not a slight on Jack Noakes at all.
Well, it is, not trying to sound cliche-ish, but it is an honor to be there when you have somebody who's been in that seat for as long as he has. He did things correct. He was right in what he did. And it worked for a long time. And, I was sad that, his retirement was more geared towards health reasons than a choice. But it is nice to be to have been selected to take over for him. And my hope is that I'm able to Stick around. I probably won't be here for 41 years like he was. I'm a little too old to look that far in the future. But the hope is that here for a good long while, and at the very least set up that experience for fans when they come in, that they know what they're getting when they get there, and they're excited for that.
No. Well, you're not missing anything in Boulder anyway, so welcome to Wyoming. Yeah. Glad you're here. Thanks for joining us today. Speaking of impressive things, Jared, the Wyoming Cowboys for 3 quarters just battled the number 4 Texas Longhorns last week inside of DK Royal Stadium. Couldn't have got off to a better start, obviously, with a 62-yard touchdown run from Harrison Whaley, who was making his debut, but the defense and the extended drives and the way the offensive line, those games are won and lost in the trenches so badly sometimes against those big schools. Cowboys belonged in this one.
Absolutely, and they controlled the game.
They did.
I mean, when you look at the time of possession, especially through the 3 quarters, it was like, oh my.
Yeah.
You know, type of deal.
We were thinking in the press box, this is how Wyoming's going to pull off this win.
Yep. And it how it got off the start with the long run by Whaley, it reminded you of a Michigan State game where Wyoming had a long run.
Yeah.
An Oregon game where Wyoming had a long run. It was like, all right, but they need to do more. And they did do more.
Yep.
They did what they had to do, and it was toe-to-toe for 3 quarters, and it really came down to 3 total plays.
It did.
The miss by Savota, in the
Pick
end zone.
6.
Yeah, and then the pick 6.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of a screen pass that got out, that Tyreek 1 more inch. And the sideline was the second defender in that play, and he just didn't get his arms extended enough to get him out of bounds. And he tippy-toed down the sideline, and give him credit for making the play, because once he got off to the races, there was nobody who was going to catch him.
Stupid fast. So to set the scene a little bit, you're going into this game, you find out Andrew Peasley's not under center. You think, oh, crap. They're already a 30-point dog in this game. You walk on the field before that game, and it's just that stadium is special. It's a really special place. It's huge. Now they even enclose the end zone, so that place is absolutely enclosed, which makes it even louder. It was really hot and muggy early in the day, and you're thinking, man, hope that wears off. And then you find out Colby Taylor's been suspended, arguably their best cover corner, and you're like, oh, man. We already knew a lot of things were going to have to go right, but Evan Svoboda, who hasn't even thrown a pass yet, stepped up, and what I loved about everything about this was Tim Polasek called 3 pass plays on the first 4 snaps of the game. Loved it.
Got him involved. Maybe
early.
Maybe that was definitely his way of calming the nerves.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, they have confidence in me and I can do this.
Yep.
So let's keep it rolling.
Yeah.
And he did for pretty much the majority of the game. I mean, yeah, he missed a guy in an end zone. Happens all the time. Ewers missed a lot of guys.
Yeah, he sure did.
He's in the Heisman race.
Yeah.
And then the pick 6, which when you look at that play again, the inside slot guy was probably the guy he should have went to. Maybe he just missed that read, or maybe his progression went so fast he just slung it out there.
Yeah.
So.
How about the job, though, back to the trenches, the unsung heroes up front? I mean, this Texas team came in with 7 sacks, 14 tackles for loss. They're giving no rushing yard. They haven't given up even close to a 100-yard rusher this entire season. Cowboys give up 1 sack. It came at a terribly unopportune time down in the red zone, and it was the tight end's fault after further review. It was not the offensive line at all, which is an unproven offensive line in a lot of ways outside of Frank Crum and Fia Tulifono. I thought they did really, really good. And Texas, Craig Bowl brought this up, Texas's nose tackle is 363 pounds. Wyatt Whelan joked that he ran into that guy during the game, and he said, I couldn't even see the top of his helmet. He was the biggest human being I've ever seen. Craig Ball watched it on film. They were pushing him off the ball on every snap.
Yeah, and you look at the tight end situation when you said missing a block there. Savota didn't even get hit.
No.
On
clean pocket all
yeah,
day.
I mean, you see sometimes Peasley has taken so many shots in the year and a half that he's played, maybe less than a year and a half because he's been out some games, but he takes a lot of shots, a lot of punishment. Savota really didn't take any shots after the play, releasing the ball, getting out of the pocket, taking a shot. It was, like you said, it was a clean pocket. And I could probably say the same for Ewers as well. He didn't take a lot of shots to really rattle him by any means. He was just rattled from the get-go that he just was off.
He was rattled, and you know what? A lot of that had to do with Jay Sawville's defense and another great scheme heading into this one. Dropping 8, rushing 3. That's a lot of the reasons Ewers was clean all night, but it was also a lot of reasons he did not look good at all. Through 3 quarters, Quinn Ewers, who vaulted in the Heisman race after that game at Alabama, which he was good. He was really good in that game. He was not good in this one. They had 87 yards passing through 3 quarters, and he was off all night long. The defenders were all over these these are world-class speed wide receivers. They muddied that thing up so badly that that was the only way they were going to win this game, and they almost ran it to perfection.
Yeah, dropping 8, like you said, it definitely got in the mind and the head of Ewers, because he was probably looking at things that he hadn't seen,
Sarkisian said as much after the game.
In his 14, 15 games that he's played, he's looking at stuff and he sees all these white uniforms out there that really aren't supposed to be there. They weren't there on film.
No, they weren't. And Jay Sawville, he joked that, we only ran that 20 times against Texas with a 3-man front. Yeah, well, Jay, you guys held them to 52 offensive plays. That's incredible. Texas Tech was on pace for something like that. They finished with like 82, but a lot of that was at the end when they're scampering trying to get back in that thing and trying to tie that game up. So I asked Jay Sawville just a simple question. What were you most proud of during this game in Austin? Here's his response.
I think not just beyond that, from what most people had told us, that we'd be 1-2 with a couple beatings, and that's not been the case, right? Like, I think what happens is that the thing I'm most proud of is that when it's Saturday and the ball's on the tee, like, these guys are ready to go play. We maybe ran a little bit of an unorthodox game plan against Texas on Saturday. Felt like it was our best chance to win. Players bought into it, did it. We ran a kind of a brand new version of ourselves against Texas Tech. Players bought into it, did it, and some of those things. So, like, the players have basically, we have such a closeness, they will do exactly kind of like what is required for each of their positions.
I love, too, that I was talking to Jay about how hard this must have been to come to Craig Bohl, who is such an old school coach, and say, hey, I'm thinking about dropping 8. I think that'll give us our best opportunity to beat Texas Tech. And he laughed, he joked about it and said, at first he was kind of like, man, I don't know, because I picturing Craig, I could see him thinking that quarterback's going to have all day to sit in the pocket and he's going to be able to pick people apart. Hasn't happened.
3 years ago, Bohl would never have done that. No. I mean, we've talked about the last 2 years. It's a changed Craig Bohl.
Yeah.
With everything.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. And then hopefully part of it, too, is letting Polasek call his game plan and get more people involved in it instead of just pounding the ball 80% of the time. And you are seeing that. It's more of a balanced attack from Wyoming.
I had a fan write me and say, sure wish we'd get these tight ends involved. The tight ends have 15 catches through 3 games. They were targeted 8 times in Austin the other night. I don't know if you watched the Tech game or not, but John Michael Gillenborg with the biggest touchdown reception in recent memory in double overtime. He is a tight end. And
there was a touchdown call back against Texas.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Evan Swoboda ends his debut, 17 of 28, 136 yards, no touchdowns, did throw the pick 6. Managed the game really well. They had a 17-play drive in the third quarter. That, to me, Jared, I write that turning point feature every week, and to me, that's where I wanted it so badly for that to be the turning point, because Texas is going right down the field, right out of halftime. On 3rd and long, Sebastian Harsh just fires in and sacks Ewers, knocks them all the way out of field goal range. They have to punt. Then the Cowboys turn that around and take it 17 plays, and if they could have punched that in,
there will not be another team that does a 17-play drive against Texas. And if there is, I'll take a pie to the face from you.
No doubt. It was impressive, and it was like, man, if they could have punched that in, we could be talking about a whole new ball game here. And for the defense to stiffen up like that, and Sebastian Harsh, man, he just shot out of a cannon on that. It was absolutely beautiful, perfect timing. Cowboys belonged, and I think that's what – if we're going to talk about what we're most proud of, they absolutely look like they belong, because in the beginning, I just thought, oh, my God. I remember saying before the game, least they're going to run the ball 60 times today, so this game's going to go quick. They're going to run. They're not. Sabota's never going to throw the ball. Maybe a few third downs. I mean, this is going to be a run-heavy game, and then what do you know? Out of the chute, 3 out of 4, they belong the entire time. It was great.
And that was definitely in the back of my mind that they were going to shorten the game by running.
Yes.
And then you start seeing, oh man, it was an incomplete pass. That means the clock stopped.
Yeah.
And then they would get a first down the next play. It was like, oh, okay, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Svoboda was just, he was pretty impressive, standing tall in the pocket, and he's just, boy, he looks good in pads, doesn't he? Man, have you got to see him up close?
Yeah, he is a big individual. He's kind of like that quintessential today's version of, like your almost your Tebow-esque type of guys. They're just big individuals. You should be playing D-end or linebacker.
He's like a mix between Josh Allen and Tebow. That's a great way to put it, Tebow.
Very big.
Because you look at Josh Allen, he doesn't have guns.
Not like that.
Evan's got some guns.
Yes, he does.
Pipes, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, he looks really good in uniform, that's for sure. So Evan, really nice start for him. We don't know as of now if he's going to start this game against Appalachian State. Coach Bull says it's day-to-day. Talked to Andrew Peasley for about 20 minutes this week. He also said it's day-to-day. I want to get to this comment from Andrew Peasley, though, while we're talking about Evan Svoboda. Like you said, don't know if he's going to play today, but it was interesting because I don't know about you, Jared, but I thought about, we knew about the Peasley news. Didn't have enough sources to confirm it, but we knew about this, Thursday of last week that he wasn't going to play. Tried to confirm it. The university said, we are very much coaches looking forward to watching Andrew play this weekend. We knew that was not true. We knew that they were, obviously not letting Texas know who the quarterback was going to be. Evan Svoboda said he found out on Monday that he was the guy last week. That hurt, and I thought about that for Andrew. He's got off to such a great start this year, and to not be able to play in that venue when he's hot right now. He really is. For him, he's played really well. And Coach Bull said he thought that was his best game ever that he had against Portland State the week prior. He did have the interception, which was not his fault. That hurt. And we watched him in warm-ups, and we watched him sit on the bench and kind of look around. We watched him have a conversation with Tim Polasek and Craig Bull before the game. And I said, Andrew, was that you kind of telling Bull, hey, I can do this, I can play? And he goes, no. It was, man, isn't the stadium great? This isn't it hot? He knew he wasn't playing in this game, but it hurt nonetheless. This was a really candid answer from Wyoming's quarterback about not only how bad it hurt not to play and appear in this game in Texas in front of 100,000 plus, but his thoughts on Evan Svoboda.
Yeah, I mean, it was, it's hard when I put so much into this sport and, what I love to do, and to not be able to play, but at the same time, I was super excited for Evan just to get we were roommates in the hotel. I woke up and he woke up, and I was like, you really get an opportunity that a lot of kids just dream about, and that's to play in that, that stage, that arena, and just to be able to go out and, show what people, you're capable of. And I thought Evan did really well. I was really happy for him. I was trying to coach him the best I could, and I was worried about his nerves a little bit. Obviously, he's never thrown a ball in a game. So, just picking him up through that and making sure he was good to go. And I think he performed very well. Obviously, a few little mistakes here and there, but, he was accurate with the ball. Mm-hmm. He made good decisions, and I was just really happy for him.
I love the little interesting tidbit that he throws in, that he stayed with Evan Svoboda on the road, and that they woke up together, and he looked at Evan and just said, you have no idea what you have in front of you today. In a good way. You have an opportunity to show the world today what you can do, and kids dream about this. Peasley obviously dreamed about it. It hurt for him to sit and watch this thing.
Go out and have fun.
Yeah, and that's what he said he did, and Evan really credited his teammates, especially Peasley. Peasley said, I even felt like his little backup because he'd come over after he got sacked, and I was wiping the pebbles off his arm and the turf off his arm. But he really played coach on the sideline and really said, you okay? This is what you need to see. This is what you need to do. Stay calm. And I guess Bull said he did not see deer in the headlights whatsoever, and I think Evan played that way.
And for 45 minutes, he silenced. Or silenced. Yeah. 98,000 people.
Yeah. So did another guy named Harrison Whaley. What a start for him. His debut, 62-yard run right off the bat, shut that place up in a quick hurry. And, man, he just looks different, doesn't he? He's so quick to the hole, and he was a few arm tackles away from having a few big ones.
And we've seen 2 Wyoming players pull away from that 5-star speed.
Yeah.
Because Robert Huron did it back when they played their last time on a 96-yard screen pass.
Yep.
And
he made Xavier Worthy look slow on that one.
That's not supposed to happen, folks. These guys are big-time NFL caliber DBs. And Whaley, and that guy had an angle at Whaley too, and Whaley still pulled away from him.
He sure did.
So I think his knee's good.
I think so. He said after the game, he said he felt fast, but he also said he was a little out of shape, and it's like, could have fooled us, could have fooled Texas's secondary, but there were a few plays, man. He breaks one arm tackle, he's into the secondary again, and who knows. So I have a feeling we're going to see a little more out of him.
And you know that Texas knew they were in for a dogfight when they have to pull out a trick play and throw a pass to the defensive end in the end zone. I mean, is it a trick play? I'm sure they practice it every single day, but still.
Yeah.
When you line up somebody like that and throw them in the end zone, they know they're in a dogfight and they have to come out with something like that to get the crowd into it.
Well, and they do have an All-American tight end who was targeted. He was targeted one time, and Wyatt Eckler should have picked that ball off in the end zone. That was on Texas's first drive of the game. They did a phenomenal job on him. They did a phenomenal job on all of them, man. Jonathan Brooks finished with 164 yards. You see that rushing. You see that on its face. It looks bad. 7.8 yards per carry. 61 of those came on one rush. Cowboys did a great job shutting him down. Wide receiver-wise, Xavier Worthy, 4 catches, 56 yards, 44 of those on one play. He's an All-American receiver. Craig Bohl said he's the fastest guy he's ever seen. A.D. Mitchell, 2 touchdown catches against Alabama. 3 catches, 38 yards against Wyoming.
And the question is now, can Wyoming keep up their confidence level and going into Game 4? Because you saw the little bit of a downer against Portland State, even though they played really well for 3 quarters for the most part. Then they're back up against Texas, and now they have an Appalachian State team coming to town, which they know that Appalachian State is a very good team.
Yeah.
Do the fans really realize it, though?
Yeah. Well, we'll talk more about App State on the other side of the break. One thing that is not in question, Wyoming now has a number 1 running back. Craig Bohl made that crystal clear. Jamari Farrell got the start in week 1, Sam Scott in week 2, week 3, Harrison Whaley, week 4, Harrison Whaley. Here's Craig Bohl on the junior running back transfer from Northern Illinois.
Some of it's going to be running back by committee, but I can tell you that off of this last game, that Harrison separated himself. It's not like there's going to be a whole lot of other oars. Harrison will be our lead guy, but you'll see these other guys sprinkled in with what kind of skill set they bring.
Would like to see more of Sam Scott. Would like to maybe see Scott. He didn't get any carries against Texas. He was in on a few plays that were pass plays. Would like to see him maybe be the sledgehammer behind the speed of Whaley. Would like to see DQ maybe out on the perimeter a little more, maybe in the pass, get involved in the passing game a little bit. I really don't know what to make of Jamari Farrell yet. Haven't really seen a lot out of him, but we've seen enough, I think, out of Harrison Whaley. We also saw him in 2021 dust Wyoming's defense in DeKalb, so pretty good running back.
And it's also nice when you have a true number 1 guy that's probably going to get into the flow of the game more.
Yeah.
And he can get more the brunt of the carries, and then that just gets him that much more confidence as well.
Absolutely. On the other side of the break, we'll break down the Wyoming Cowboys opponent tonight, the Appalachian State Mountaineers. See you on the other end.
Prescription products require completion of an online medication consultation with an independent healthcare provider through the LifeMD platform and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Individual results may vary. Additional restrictions apply. Read all warnings before using GLP-1s. Side effects may include a risk of thyroid C-cell tumors. Do not use GLP-1s if you or your family have a history of thyroid cancer.
If you've struggled for years to lose weight and have given up hope, did you know you can now access GLP-1 prescription medications at TryLifeMD.com? We're now offering eligible patients online access to GLP-1s, the breakthrough prescription medication that can help you lose body fat and weight. Listen to what people are saying.
It's fun to put on jeans that you couldn't get into 6 months ago.
Every morning, I look forward to getting on the scale.
For anybody who's struggling with their weight, it's a godsend.
And here's the best part. Your insurance may cover 100% of the cost of your medication. So go to TryLifeMD.com to have your eligibility checked right now. Get started today at TryLifeMD.com. That's TryLifeMD.com.
Welcome back to the 7220sports.com kickoff show, presented in part by YO Lotto. When the Pokes win, you win too. Learn more at YOLotto.com.
Is they play with a chip on their shoulder. They're a really physical team. They play with great discipline. They have more scholarships now, and they have a winning attitude, and they're not afraid to go on the road. I know they went to Texas A&M last year and won. They're one of the more noted teams around the country. And so a great opportunity, a great challenge for us to play. What has also changed, they've been able to go out and nationally recruit a little bit. Their quarterback, Aguilar's from the Bay Area. Typically, they've gotten most of their guys from the surrounding areas outside of Boone in North Carolina and up and down the coast. But Aguilar really is an excellent quarterback. They've got a balanced attack. I think they're getting about 450 yards a game, which is impressive. So that's always tough when you have somebody that can run the ball and throw the ball. Noel's a really good running back, and Haywood. And then offensively, as far as in the throwing game, they do operate with one tight end and two tight ends sometimes. That poses challenges. Horn's a great wide receiver. They're explosive on defense. So, I know this. Mac Brown is a dear friend of mine, experienced football coach. He never wants to play him again. And I think that gives you an idea what kind of program they are. They took Carolina deep into double overtime and lost their game. And then, has been bounced back and an impressive opponent.
Well, Appalachian State certainly has Craig Bull's attention, Jared Newland. Solid team, good team, 2-1 coming into this thing. Craig Bull joked that his good buddy Mac Brown, head coach at North Carolina, who has had their hands more than full with the Mountaineers the last 2 years, will never schedule App State again. And who could blame him? I believe it was 63-61 last year in Boone. College game day was there, the whole nine. This year it takes 2 overtimes for the Tar Heels, number 17 Tar Heels, to pull off a 40-34 victory. I don't think any of us are shocked. App State's always had a nice program. Basically, since they upset Michigan in 2007. They've been on the map ever since, and I think you know what to expect from them. They're just a tough, hard-nosed team, and you had a good point earlier, and I'll let you say your good point. They're pretty familiar.
I think they are a mirror of the Wyoming program. I mean, especially when you run down the stats of what's going on this year, they're very close to whatever, very balanced attack. But I also think that they're probably more of a developmental program like a Wyoming is.
Yeah.
They're not getting a lot of transfers in. They're really developing their players. And they know how to win on the road.
Yeah.
We've seen it at Michigan a long time ago. I know those players, and they're adults now. They have kids. But last year at Texas A&M, shocked the world.
And you wonder, I watched last night, Texas A&M has a show called The Pulse on ESPN, and I watched that from last year against App State to see if he could gain anything from it. A totally different cast of guys on this App State team. They only finished 6-6 last year. My big question, and the same can be posed to Texas Tech this year, was Texas A&M garbage, or did App State beating them send them down a road that they didn't want to go?
I think it's probably a little bit of both, to be honest with you, because Texas A&M was the team to look out for last year in a lot of people's minds with the transfer portal, with the amount of money that Jimbo Fisher's getting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it happened to him again this year. They already got an L.
I bet they wish Jimbo Fisher would make an inappropriate phone call in his office to get out of that contract.
You mean like a Mel Tucker type call?
Yes, exactly.
Or okay, that's where you're going.
Yeah, just couldn't go all the way with that like I would with, if we didn't have microphones in front of our face.
Could you imagine Deion Sanders in College Station?
No.
With that amount of money?
Oh, man. Yeah, he'd be pretty good. I know Michigan State's already talking about what's it going to take to steal our second straight Colorado coach. I don't know if they want to go there, though, but I don't know if they could go. I don't know if he'd even go there.
Yeah, I doubt it. He's next step for him. We're getting way off the rails here, but it's going to be warm weather.
Well, and money's no object. So that's where you can't sway a guy like that. Josh Hunter, we're joined in studio by Josh Hunter, the new public address announcer at the University of Wyoming. He was trying to teach us how to say Appalachian State, and I don't even know if I'm saying it right still. So we'll just go with.
Sound good.
We'll just go with App.
Appy State.
And that's what they go by anyway. So you're good there.
You going to drop App State over the loud mic this weekend?
I don't know. So
you don't want a bunch of hillbillies all pissed off at you.
Well, what's actually kind of funny is I didn't realize this early on, but as you and I discussed some time ago, I did TCU versus CU.
Yeah.
When they opened the season last year. And I made the whopping mistake of referring to TCU as Texas Christian on Mike one time. And you want to talk about the SID, or the sports information director for TCU, blew up my phone.
You don't like being called by your name?
Apparently not. We are TCU. We are not Texas Christian. And I responded back with, what does TCU stand for again then? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Please do Brigham Young next year.
Yeah.
Just do it every single time.
So, I mean, I'm not trying to get on anybody's bad side, obviously.
But I remember when TCU and SMU were in the WAC, I was in media relations at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They sent out notices that they don't want to be known by Southern Methodist or Texas Christian. It's the acronyms. That's what they want to be known by.
Trying to hide the religious part?
I don't know if they want to do that, but I think it's more about branding.
Okay.
I'm going to say right off the bat that there's no branding for TCU inside of Folsom.
But I still don't understand why the University of Colorado is known as CU. The University of Kansas is known as KU.
And OU.
And Tulsa.
Yeah.
Same thing.
TU.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess it sounds better coming off the tongue. I don't know.
I know all my Aggie buddies call Texas TU like it's the biggest slight of all time. And T-sippers and all kinds of other crap. I don't even know what any of it means. Craig Bowl, very impressed with this App State team, and it's easy to see why. They're just solid up and down the board here. They run a balanced offense. That's what I've been most impressed with, a very balanced offense. And it's not like North Carolina's a good team, folks, don't get me wrong, but it's not like they've played world beaters. Gardner-Webb struggled with them a little bit in the opener. Struggled a little bit with East Carolina last week in front of a record 40,000 plus in Boone. So it's not like this team's absolutely jumping on teams it should, a la Portland State. But solid, so 40.7 points per game, 451 yards, 196 of those on the ground, thanks to a guy named Nate Noel, who we'll talk about here in a minute. But where their Achilles heel is, if you will, it appears when you look at the stats, which I know you haven't pulled up here, Jared, is defensively. They're giving up way too many rushing yards. Yeah, they're giving up 182 yards a game, and that just plays into Wyoming's hands, whether it be Whaley or all five running backs for that matter, and a quarterback maybe. Or Peasley if he's in.
Yeah, that's good news for the Pokes. And they do give up 200 yards passing a game too, so that's a total of 382 yards they're allowing.
Almost 31 a game.
They are putting up 456, which poses problems for the Wyoming defense, but we all know that Wyoming's defense is up for the task. They've done it against two Big 12 opponents already.
Yeah. The interesting thing to hear from Jay Savell going back to Texas and Texas Tech was we were going to weaken ourselves by having a three-man front. We were going to give up some running yards, which is not something this team does, which is something that Craig Bowl certainly does not do. Last time a team went nuts on the Cowboys running was New Mexico in 2016, and the defensive coordinator was shown the gate shortly after. That was the most unbelievable game I've ever seen, and I know Craig Bowl would say the same. So they have weakened themselves, though, in those games. When it comes to this one, you're going to see a traditional four-down linebackers in the box. They are really going to do whatever it takes to shut down Nate Noel. And Joey Aguilar, he's been a really good quarterback so far for the Mountaineers, but he was not their selection out of fall camp. He is number 2. Their original starter, Ryan Berger, was suffered a finger injury, out 3 to 4 weeks. But if Aguilar keeps playing the way he is, he's going to be out for a lot more than 3 to 4 weeks.
Definitely. When you look at Aguilar's stats, 690 yards, 9 touchdowns, and only 2 picks.
Yeah.
Wyoming's really going to have to put some pressure on him, make him feel uncomfortable. We use that term a lot, but that's what defenses need to do to good quarterbacks.
Yeah, it is. I guess, Josh, what are some things that impress you most about App State? Not even necessarily this team, just the university as a whole, the product they put on the field every year. They're always a team where I don't think you necessarily feel comfortable even if they're coming to your house.
They don't. I mean, they have, they're a club that has, you go all the way back to, their home park, to the type of talent they can bring. They've got dynamic wide receivers on that team. They are fast.
3 with 100 yards receiving already. Yeah,
they have a lot of capability on the outside, and like you guys have already been mentioning, with Nate Noel and his ability as a runner. His yardage so far this year is just downright impressive.
435 and 4 TDs only on 75 carries.
Yeah, he's an impressive back. So he's someone you're definitely going to want to control, that's for sure.
And only a preseason second teamer.
Yeah. not for long. I don't foresee him having a great game today. I really think they're going to focus on him. In fact, I know Jay Sawvell talked about it this week. Jay, also, I mentioned, who is this guy comparable to? And I threw out the name Harrison Whaley, and he said, yep, he looks a lot like him. He runs like him. He's him. And I said, well, that's got to be good news for you. You guys see him in practice all the time. He said, no, we don't. It's not one-on-ones in practice. So they do not get to see Whaley, but they've seen what he can do. So here's Jay Sawvell's thoughts on Nate Noel, running back for App State.
Really good. He runs very, very hard. Runs very, very hard. He's very, he's got really good speed to the hole, really good burst into the hole, really physical for not being a big guy.
Right.
So this is just a really, really, really excellent running back that I think when you look at and go, okay, where does he rank? He's right at the top of the backs of what we've played so far this year. And I think that he's excellent. I mean, this is a really good football player.
He's going to be good, and he's the number one target today. He's the number one target for App State and Wyoming. They got to shut him down. Once they do, put this game in Aguilar's hands. He's a JUCO transfer. He's only 6 foot tall. He's a guy that you like the chances, I think, of a Sebastian Harsh and a Braden Siders and a Devon Harris maybe having a big game, which they've given that up too. One of the biggest trademarks of this Cowboys defense is getting after the quarterback and getting sacks. They had to give that up against Texas and Texas Tech. So those guys are itching to put their hand in the ground and burn around the edge.
Yeah, and every defensive coordinator wants to make a team one-dimensional, make them make mistakes. I don't know if that's possible with a team like this because they are so balanced.
Yeah.
But Wyoming's front four or front three, whichever way they go with it, and maybe you just say front seven, need to stop that run and make Aguilar beat him through the air.
Yeah, this could be one of those 15 tackle days for Easton Gibbs. I mean, this could be, I know they are balanced, but this could be Air Force-esque, especially if the wind, famous Wyoming wind's going to be howling.
Yeah, it's supposed to die down by 3 o'clock today, folks, but we'll see. But I was thinking that if this wasn't on a national broadcast, this game would be under 3 hours for sure.
Yeah. I posed this question to you before we came on the air, Jared. Are Wyoming fans especially respecting this team way too much? I mean, I've seen them say this will be a bigger win than Texas Tech, and my first response is, are you out of your mind?
It's because it's the next game up.
I suppose. I suppose. But I just don't.
But I think it's more important right now, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
because
Wyoming,
they got that
win, moved to 3-1. I know you don't want to look too far ahead because Craig never does, but then you have New Mexico, and then you have Fresno State, who is really good this year. I mean, just think about the ifs out there, 5-1 going to the academy.
Yeah. Here's another if, Josh. Coming into this year, I'm sure you did it. I know we certainly did it. You looked at that schedule and you went 2-2.
Oh,
2-2 coming out of, that'll be a best case scenario, 2-2 coming out of non-conference. Now it's the worst case scenario.
I think the key in my mind here is just the team playing to its abilities every single day.
Yeah.
Don't play down to your opponents because there are absolutely games on that schedule where you're like, okay, that's a win.
Well, New Mexico is the FBS, FCS version that Wyoming tends to always play terrible against New Mexico.
And we kind of saw a little bit of that at times
sure
against
did.
Portland State also,
Yep.
So hopefully that's just not the case. They've played so well against TCU. They played so well against Texas. And again, you get rid of that fourth quarter. And I mean, that game was ended in the fourth. But for 3 straight quarters, it was just down hard, good football from a really good squad. And if they continue to play like that, that's my thing. Stay in that realm, play the way you can play. Don't play down to your opponent.
Yeah. What were your expectations realistically, Jared, when you looked at the schedule the first time?
I said 7-5, 8-4.
What about non-con?
Oh, non-con, definitely 2-2, but back of your mind, you wanted it to be 3-1 because Texas Tech was obtainable, even though knowing how good they were projected, because some people even said they're a dark horse to win the Big 12 type of a deal.
I still think they are. I really do. Plus, you have Baylor and Oklahoma State that are completely down right now, so you have to go through Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas State. I think Texas Tech, after losing to Oregon, was the best 0-2 team in the country. I think Tyler Shuck's really good, and I think these wide receivers are really good, and I think they're going to figure it out and put it together.
I think watching that game, the Oregon-Texas Tech game, that is, it just shows you how good Oregon really is.
That too.
And
not an easy place to go in and play in Lubbock, Texas.
No. And those fans were jacked up, even though they were coming off a loss against Wyoming.
Well, you can call me a liar. I thought 3-1 for sure. I had stupid faith in that Texas Tech game. Maybe not after the first quarter, but going into that one, stupid faith. And I'll be honest, I thought they were probably going to get boat raced in Austin. I really did. That team is just on a different level right now, and walked out of that game so impressed. Even after that first shot by Harrison Whaley, I went, well, there's probably the highlight of the day, I'm not a negative person in general when it comes to this, but I thought there's their one shot. Now they just woke up Texas. Now it's going to get real. It never got real until midway through, a little bit into the fourth quarter. So this team is different, and coaches talked about it all year. They're mature. They went from the third youngest team in America last year to one of the oldest teams in America overnight because they didn't get hammered in the transfer portal. And that's another narrative that I really want to die. Wyoming fans are still so, Harrison Whaley busts a 62-yard run, he'll be in the transfer portal. No, he won't. He already transferred. He's not going anywhere. We've got to quit with that. They lost, if you looked at it on its face value, they lost, 17 guys to the portal? Not very many impactful guys. In fact, I think 13 of them never saw the field one time. I rewatched the Houston TCU game last night. Josh Cobbs was on the field for 6 plays, I want to say I counted. He had 1 target, and he slipped and fell.
Speaking of a guy that was played against Wyoming last week.
Didn't play against Wyoming last week.
Isaiah Nair.
Yeah. And he tweeted out after the game, cool, like he was pissed he didn't get in that game. And I watched him on the sideline with his helmet on. He was the first one to leave the field, too, after the game. He didn't shake one hand. He was in the locker room.
And you and I both said he's going to be a part of the game plan. You know that. They're going to give him the ball. Didn't even get on the field.
They didn't care.
Nope.
They didn't care. And I saw a Texas fan wrote, kind of screwed up. They didn't let Nair play in this game or give him any opportunities, and he liked the comment and retweeted it. And I've been waiting all week to see his suspension, but I haven't seen it yet.
That would have happened where we're broadcasting from. I know that.
Yep, that's a fact. That is a fact. Let's touch a little bit on the Mountain West games this week. We don't give this guy enough credit. Matt Ozzie, our producer, he's our producer from afar. He works at Middle Tennessee now, which happens to be hosting our friends from Fort Collins this week. And we woke up to a nice text at 7 a.m.
Keep him buzzing. Get Cody out of bed, Matt. So he sent this parking pass situation on campus about, you can't park in certain areas. They're hosting a game, blah, blah, blah. Guess where CSU's alumni tailgate is located at Middle Tennessee State? In the livestock lot. How fitting is that? Well, there'll only be 10 people at that game anyway for CSU, but still. And it was funny what he wrote. I can't say it on the air, but it's pretty dang funny. I guess I can ad-lib a little bit here. So they can inhale cow and pig junk, dung, whatever you want to say, leading up to the game. So that's pretty funny. Thanks a lot for sending that, Matt.
Yeah, and thanks for all you do behind the scenes, Matt. You're a lifesaver. CSU, I've been posed this question a lot, and, you live down in Colorado, unfortunately, Josh. Is CSU good? Did CU play down last week? What's your takeaway from the
that is
Rocky Mountain pillow fight?
Really interesting question. I thought CU and Coach Prime were going to just manhandle CSU.
Too.
I didn't think there was ever a chance that CSU was going to be in that game. I didn't think that looking at the score, I thought I was dreaming that there's no way the score is what the score is. I think that the win versus loss, was what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I thought CU was going to win that game. I just didn't think they were going to win the way they had to.
Yeah.
I don't know. CSU has. I have a ton of respect for CSU.
You do?
I'm trying to be nice, okay?
So, just because of this game or for like a long time? I know you.
Remember, they never let you in the booth.
Stop.
They never let you in the booth.
All right. So I don't know. I think since McElwain left that CSU has been a program that has been in rebuild mode for years and years and years, and they just haven't
But it's
gotten where they're trying.
Bad hire after bad hire. How does he still have his job?
It's hard for me to really. It's hard to comment on that one.
Going to that CSU game, go back to it. They are a hell of a lot better than I imagined.
Yes.
And I mean, those transfers that they had last year, they're kind of gelling a little bit. They got some new guys.
They got a little quarterback.
They got a little bit of swagger about them.
Yeah, especially that secondary.
Yeah, and yes, if they wouldn't have had 183 yards in penalties, 17, both school records, they probably would have won that game.
Yeah.
But they made some plays, and I'm not going to give them credit like Josh did, but I was pleasantly surprised about the Rams, put it that way. Can that swagger hold up all the way through the season? I think they lose today.
I do too, and it's still a loss. You want to get down to it. They still lost in Boulder.
Wyoming can hang their heads on saying, hey, they played really well for 3 quarters. Yeah, they still lost the game, though.
Yeah. Yep, they did. You know what? I think CSU, and don't tell anybody I ever said this, but I have a lot of respect for their head coach, Jay Norvell, and I think they played for him. I think they absolutely stepped up to the plate and they played for him, and he has command of that locker room.
Well,
they benched our starting quarterback going into this game and had finally scored more than 14 points offensively in a game for the first time since 2021.
The crap that went on even before the game.
Yeah.
Of all the smack talking of those guys going back and forth, it just we're talking about those two schools way too much because I love them so much.
Yeah. All right, let's go down the Mountain West slate here.
Real quick here, New Mexico and UMass has already kicked off. New Mexico all the way across the country.
Did you see Danny Gonzalez after they lost to New Mexico State last week said this team will be in a bowl game this year. So maybe if they let a 4-team win in, because I don't see.
Danny.
New Mexico does not have 6 wins on that.
Just like
schedule.
CSU's quarterback saying they're gonna win out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then we talked about CSU, Tennessee, Middle Tennessee kicking off same time as Wyoming. Nevada at Texas State. That is a tough game for Nevada because Texas State's pretty damn good.
They're playing good, yeah.
James Madison at Utah State. Tough game for the Aggies. UNLV at UTEP. Kent State on the road at Fresno State. New Mexico State all the way across the Pacific Ocean to play Hawaii. And then since we are recording this on a Friday, I know we get back and forth on what we should do here. Hey, it's out there. Boise State, San Diego State, and Air Force at San Jose State on Friday evening.
Aztecs find an offense, please. I don't see it happening, but real quick predictions. Wyoming, App State. Jared, go.
Wyoming close. I think it's going to be a 3 to 5 point game.
Josh?
I think that the defense actually shows App State a little bit more than they've seen this year, and I don't think it's going to be that close. I say something along the lines of 35-17, something like that.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I think the Cowboys roll today.
I hope I am wrong and you guys are correct because I don't like those fourth quarter nail biters.
Watch Harrison Whaley go for about 180 today is what I'm seeing. I think the Cowboys are going to run all over these guys. A lot of respect out there for App State, and I'm not saying I don't, but the Banjos are going to be heading back to Boone with an L is what I'm seeing here in the future. But this has been the 7220sports.com kickoff show presented by the Brown and Gold. The show is also sponsored in part by Dickey's Barbecue Pit, YO Lotto, Papa Murphy's Pizza, Rocky Mountain Sureworks, and Lovejoy's Bar and Grill. Thank you for joining us. For Jared Newland and Josh Hunter, I'm Cody Tucker. Stay tuned for Wyoming football next, right here on KOWB.
Prescription products require completion of an online medication consultation with an independent healthcare provider through the LifeMD platform and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Individual results may vary. Additional restrictions apply. Read all warnings before using GLP-1s. Side effects may include a risk of thyroid C-cell tumors. Do not use GLP-1s if you or your family have a history of thyroid cancer.
If you've struggled for years to lose weight and have given up hope, did you know you can now access GLP-1 prescription medications at TryLifeMD.com? We're now offering eligible patients online access to GLP-1s, the breakthrough prescription medication that can help you lose body fat and weight. Listen to what people are saying.
It's fun to put on jeans that you couldn't get into 6 months ago.
Every morning, I look forward to getting on the scale.
For anybody who's struggling with their weight, it's a godsend.
And here's the best part. Your insurance may cover 100% of the cost of your medication. So go to TryLifeMD.com to have your eligibility checked right now. Get started today at TryLifeMD.com. That's TryLifeMD.com.